Well, long time no see. I'm back. Hi, you guys. It's Rhiannon. I just decided because my TikTok account is kind of taking off, and for literally 4 or 5 years, I've been trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and yet we're at like 380 or something like that. And within a month, I was able to take my TikTok to over 1,000 followers. So thank you all of my TikTok followers, thank you so much. But a lot of you guys are now following me on YouTube. So I decided, well, now that I actually have some people that are going to follow me, I better start putting out some content. So we're going to do a pick a pile. You'll have already seen the picture in the comments. I'm going to show you one more time. Our focus for this pick a pile reading is going to be the new moon in Gemini, which we have coming up this Friday, May 21st. So let's talk about Gemini for a little bit. Let's talk about some of the key energy and attributes of Gemini. First of all, it's ruled by the planet Mercury. You can see right there, ruler is Mercury, which is all about communication, which is why we know when Mercury goes retrograde, communication and communication tools can go haywire. So we're not in Mercury retrograde. We are in Venus retrograde, Pluto retrograde. I don't know, there's 3 or 4. But we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on attributes of Gemini that we would want to bring in, because new moon is when we want to maybe set some intentions on some energy that we would like to manifest or grow. So I'm going to read off some keywords here. And it says the energy of Gemini is ingenious, can be nervous because air signs can tend to overthink, quick-witted, flirtatious, literary, versatile, inconsistent, because they're flexible. They're like the wind. So depending on how balanced they are, they're either very versatile or versatility, if it's out of balance, can be inconsistency, right? We want some flexibility, but we don't want to be overly flexible. Inconsistent, conversational, and communicative. So I used these keywords to help build us some structure around today's reading. Just because I'm kind of ADD, and if you guys have seen me in my readings before, I sometimes get off on tangents. And especially now that I have been working professionally on the hotlines for well over a year, which is so love focused. And I know a lot of you guys do come here for love guidance, but not everybody does. So I feel like when I have a set, almost like a spread, I stay more in the general. I want to give you guys specific information, but I also want it to be general enough that it can be applicable to anybody that watches. So this is what we're going to do. We have 6 areas of focus, we will say. First is going to be area to gain knowledge, because Gemini is all about communication and learning, higher learning. Number 2 is going to be communication that could be coming in around this time in the sign of Gemini, coming into you. That could be a letter, that could be an email, that could be an offer, any kind of communication coming into you during the sign of Gemini. Number 3 is, what areas are you being inconsistent in your life where you could maybe tighten up and be a little bit more consistent? What areas in your life are you being too Gemini, which would be inconsistent? Number 4, area of increased communication. So an area in your life where you need to be the one communicating about that specific area. Then we have area where you need to be more flexible. What area of your life could you use more flexibility? And then finally, will just be like some general guidance for this time. Okay, so that's going to be the structure. It's a pick a pile. I've used 6 or 7 different decks. I'm just going to quickly take this, because you guys know I don't do any editing, and I'm just going to show you guys one more time. Let's see if we can make sure we see it. So we have got, starting with pile 1, which is clear quartz with black tourmaline. That's going to be pile 1. Pile 2 is going to be this banded agate with amethyst geode skull. That's pile 2. And then pile 3 is this beautiful amethyst piece, a piece of an open geode. So take a deep breath. And then decide 1, 2, or 3. Comment down below so I know which pile you guys chose. And now we're going to get into it. I will put timestamps below of which pile we have. So let's get everything out of the way and get started. For those of you guys who picked pile number 1, which is one of my favorite crystals. It is this beautiful quartz and black tourmaline. I love it because it's just so well balanced. It's like that yin and yang yin and yang energy. So for you guys that picked pile number 1. All right, starting with area to gain knowledge. Which area in your life could you benefit of gaining some knowledge or study or something like that? And this is from the Enchanted Maps Oracle. And for you guys, you picked wide open. So really, this would be a card saying that it's not necessarily a time for you to feel like you need to pick a specific area of focus. So for some of you guys, maybe you're getting ready to go to college or you're going to school and you've been trying to decide what you're going to major in. And this is saying just stay open right now. For you guys, you actually don't need to be that specific quite yet. Also, this card is, I feel like the color green always draws me in, which is the color of the heart chakra. And it's just saying, keep your heart wide open. If you're in yoga, if you take any yoga classes, they're always trying to get you to really expand your back to open up that heart chakra. Chakra. I prefer chakra, but open up that heart chakra, because when we're open and we don't have a preconceived notion of what something is or isn't, then we're more likely to receive divine guidance. And it might surprise you where that ends up leading you than versus when we're trying to overthink with our mind, which is definitely something that air signs, specifically Gemini, they tend to overthink things. So just be wide open. You guys don't need to be too specific yet on that. Number 2. Communication that could be coming into you in the sign of Gemini. So again, we decided this could be an email. It could be just any kind of communication that you're going to be receiving. This is from the Slow Tarot. How gorgeous is that? But you guys got the 10 of coins or the 10 of pentacles. So you guys could be receiving, maybe it's another stimulus check or some information. Maybe you guys, we've been in quarantine. A lot of you guys have been applying for things like unemployment, but it's been backlogged. So maybe your unemployment finally goes through and you start receiving that money. But 10 of coins would be an excellent card, some kind of communication about money or work. Maybe also it's both of those. Maybe you get a check and you also get called back to work because as we know, some states, including, thank goodness, where I live, in Utah, we're opening back up. People are going back to work. So expect to hear some kind of communication about that. Number 3, we have an area where you are being inconsistent. Where are you being inconsistent? And we have the 10 of Cups in reverse. So you're not showing up in a very consistent manner in your family life. So what is your main title as a family member right now? Are you a wife? Are you a mom? Are you a sister? Of course, we're multiple things. But if you had to pick your highest role, because for all of us, whoever's watching this, it's going to be different. You're not being as consistent with your family as you could be. Okay. This is also a cup. It's also a card of happiness and joy. So maybe you're being inconsistent with your depression medication and your anxiety medications. And so you're starting to feel that kind of creep back in again. So maybe you need to be more consistent with your happiness, more consistent with your meditations, more consistent with the things that bring joy. Okay. Yes, it is a card of that, denotes family, but overall it's just a card of happiness, joy, things that make us feel complete, because 10s are also like a completion of a cycle. So that is an area that you can be more consistent in your life during this energy of Gemini. So, because again, Friday. Friday's the new moon. Thursday, 21st is when we officially go into Gemini in the sun. Okay. Now we need an area of increased communication. So this is on your side, things that you need to be communicating about, where the first communication area was like a communication that you're going to be receiving. This is more an area where you need to be communicating this to others, okay? And for you guys, we have the area of transformation, okay? So this says breakthrough, reinvention. You're ready for the next level. So you need to be communicating more about that, about what is this transformation that you want to go through. Sometimes when we talk about something, this includes social media talk, in-person talk. Sometimes, I know people get annoyed by it, but sometimes when you put your goals out there, it helps hold you accountable, because the question that we asked when we got this card is, what area do you need to be communicating more about? And it's more about your transformation. Maybe you have a story to tell, a transformation that you've recently gone through. And transformations tend to be difficult and challenging. And so maybe there's a story that you have to tell that could be beneficial to other people. So if you've been thinking about starting a blog or a YouTube channel or a Facebook group or something where you could communicate to others about your transformation that they could find helpful, this would be a good time to focus on that as well. Okay. Next we have an area where you need to be more flexible in your life. So this is something that you're being a little bit stubborn and stuck with. And this is something that is going to require you to be more flexible. And this is from the Empath Oracle. And we have the white flag, surrender. You've been in some kind of altercation, argument, fight, standoff, going head to head, toe to toe with somebody, and you're being too stubborn, and it doesn't matter. The thing is, you can choose to be right or you can choose to be happy. And believe me, I need this message a lot sometimes because I am a Capricorn and I can tend to be quite stubborn. But sometimes we just have to relent and put up the white flag and just say, okay, enough is enough. And maybe this is about somebody with your family, because we did have the 10 of Cups in reverse earlier. So it's just time to get over it. Hopefully this quarantine and pandemic, if anything good, hopefully it's given us a new perspective of what really matters in life. And whatever this petty bullshit is, it's time to put up the white flag. And this is on you. And it doesn't mean that means you're wrong and they're right. It just means, again, you can be right or you can be happy. So put up the white flag. That's where you need to be flexible. And finally is general guidance. And I did decide to pull 2 cards for the general guidance. I pulled a Lenormand, and I also pulled a card from the Sacred Rebel. Okay. So for you guys, again, this is group number 1 still. For your general guidance for this Gemini season, we have 21, beyond the mind, the heart beats. Now this is the same imagery that is on the back of the card. And the thing that stands out the most to me is this DNA. The helix, is that what it's called? DNA, what is DNA? Our bloodline, our family. And we've seen that as a theme with the surrender card, with the 10 of Cups, with transformation. Maybe you've been doing a lot of personal growth and you don't feel like your family has really acknowledged it, and it's caused some chaos and upheaval. But guess what? The more spiritual you are, the more you know, the better you're supposed to do. Does that make sense? So if we're transforming and we're becoming more spiritual and more highly evolved, then that does put more weight on our shoulders to act better than other people. So they're going to get away with more. And so that's what this makes me feel like. Beyond the mind, the heart beats. Quit coming into this situation with just your rational mind, the ego. That's the ego, right? We want to be coming into this with an open heart. And that also goes back to the first card that we have here, which is wide open. And yes, this was specifically on what area of life you needed to gain knowledge, but maybe the knowledge isn't literal knowledge like a course or a class or a subject, but knowledge that's what we come to this earth plane, is to gather knowledge and to learn. And hopefully we leave this physical life a better person than we showed up at. So being wide open and getting past the ego and just and working with your heart, see her third eye here, and just being connected to, your family, your DNA, your bloodline. And then the second one, which is the Lenormand you guys have, is the tree, which guess what? The tree is health, but it's also, look at the tree. Think of the family tree. So this is all about lineage. And so many of us light workers are called to be chain breakers, and to be a chain breaker is a difficult thing. I know that's what my role is in my family, and it's super painful, and I feel rejection most of the time. And I know that I need to do better I need to be more forgiving. I certainly need to be putting up that white flag. I haven't, but this reading is making me think about it. So yeah, you guys, it's just, let's go beyond the mind. The heart beats. The heart is still beating. We're still alive no matter what trials and tribulations we've gone through. We're still alive. Let's focus on health. Let's focus on family. Let's stay open. You know, let's get our voice out there. Talk about the transformation that you've been going through. Focus on your happiness and your family. Make sure that you're being consistent with that. We're surrendering any kind of beef or pettiness. And hopefully you're going to be getting some kind of job offer or money or something coming in the sign of Gemini. So if you guys chose the clear quartz and black tourmaline, this was your reading. I hope it resonates. Comment down below if this was for you and what you chose, and we will see you guys again really soon. All right, so that was number one. Because I'm not editing, I'm just going to quickly clear out the energy. So we can start fresh with pile number two. I personally am using this. It's called Kate's Magic. All of her stuff is Reiki infused. I found her on Instagram. I think she's based out of Arizona. I absolutely adore all of her stuff that I have tried, but this is the purification and protection. And this is the second bottle that I've purchased. I bought it online this time, but the first time I found it at a grocery store called Natural Grocers. So if you guys have that, they might carry it, but it's so good. And it just purifies and protects. Whew. Okay, so pile number two. If you guys chose the banded agate with amethyst geode skull, I love him so much. If you guys chose, this is your pile. 1642. I need to write that down for the time stamp to make this easier for you guys. Have you guys missed me? Hopefully you guys have that are my old school followers. And then welcome to all my TikTokers. I cannot wait to get this YouTube channel to over 1,000 viewers. So please, for the love of all that's holy, like and comment and share so I can finally get 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube. Okay, so pile number two, starting with the area of which, I think we're backwards here. Yeah, here we go. The area of which you would like to or need to be gaining knowledge in the sign of Gemini. You guys have the Wizard of Awareness. I love this card. So the wizard, just the word wizard alone makes me think your magic, you know, your high priestess or your magician or your wizard energy. So maybe focusing on some esoteric or some mystical type things. It also makes me think magician, because in the tarot, the third card, because we've got number 3 here, is the magician. So the magician is all about using the tools that we have to create the world that we want, manifesting, law of attraction, all of that stuff. And, you know, this is what you need to be focusing on in Gemini. What do you want to create? What are you wanting at, you know, the summer is already almost here, you guys. I know that we've been held up in our house, held captive during quarantine, but hopefully things are starting to open up. I know they are where I live. And the next thing we know, it's going to be August. And we're going to be like, where did my summer go? So right now, what do you want to be focusing on? What do you want to be creating? Oh, that could be something physical. That could be a job, a relationship. It could be something in your awareness. It could be an area of to expand your, you know, consciousness, things like that. But it's definitely magician type vibes. Okay. And number 2, communication coming in. So this is like you receiving some type of message. And you guys actually got 2 cards. This is from the Slow Tarot. I'm absolutely in love with this deck. But you guys got 2 cards, and one of them is death. So of course, sometimes we get scared with death, but death is really just an ending. When one window closes, another window opens, a transition, if you will. And next to that is the Ace of Coins. So maybe you've lost your job during the pandemic, but you're going to have a job offer coming through. Maybe you've been cut off from income, but you're going to have new income coming through. Whatever it is, it's going to be the ending of a job related or money related. You know, it could technically, you know, Coins and Pentacles can be our housing. So maybe you're moving, maybe you've sold a house and you're moving into a new house. But either way, even if it might seem kind of scary and you don't know how things are going to go, the Ace of Pentacles is a great card because all the aces in general are pure potentiality, meaning that you just have to decide what it is that you want, and the universe is ready to hand it in. Because if you think about the traditional imagery of the aces, like in the Rider-Waite system, it's that hand coming out of the cloud of the universe, just like, here you go, here, take it. And then we just had the Magician. So it's like, if you want something, create it, make it happen. You're so powerful. Okay. Where are you being inconsistent? Where in your life are you being inconsistent that is requiring you to kind of hunker down? Seven of Swords in reverse. I'm not really sure how I feel about this because, Seven of Swords in the upright position is somebody who's being sneaky, dishonest, a thief, taking something that's not yours. In upright position, it's actually better because it means that you've healed that. So maybe you're recovering from this type. Maybe you're a recovering liar. I don't want to call you names, but maybe you've been sneaking around or doing something that you know is not right, and you know you're better than that. Okay. And good job for you because it's already in reverse. It means you've already made a lot of big changes. But the question that we asked when we got this card is, where could you be more consistent? I don't know why for some of you I keep hearing like working on an addiction. And I know this isn't a card that typically denotes addiction. That'd be more like the devil. But I just feel strongly, I keep hearing it in my head. For some of you guys, you're working on recovery. That's the word I'm looking for. You're working on recovery. And maybe you've been making people think that you're more sober than you are. And so that in that way, you're being kind of sneaky. And so make sure that you work your program. An addiction can come in a lot of different forms. It's not always drugs or alcohol. It could be anything. It could be porn. A lot of you guys are, porn is such a addictive thing. And it's like, I am not a prude. I hope you guys know I am such an open person. And, personally, my life had been affected with porn. Maybe one day I'll open up about that. Women can become addicted to porn as well. And I just think that it is so destructive to the female psyche, to the male psyche, to the relationship, to the family. But anyway, it's to me, I just keep hearing addiction. So whatever that addiction is to you, food, porn, alcohol, drugs, eating too much, bulimia, anorexic, whatever you've been addicted to, and you've been making people feel like you're winning and everything's been going good, but you know that you're kind of teetering on that line of falling back. This card is saying you need to be more consistent with your recovery, okay? And then we have an area of increased communication that you need to be communicating, where again, before that was the communication you could expect to be coming in. For you guys, we got the twin flames, which is interesting because Gemini is the sign of the twin. I'm sure a lot of you guys out here watching are in twin flame relationships, but specifically those of you guys who were pile number 2, who picked this guy right here, an area for you to be communicating is your twin flame. Now, a lot of you are probably blocked and not able to communicate with your twin flame. So you might be thinking, well, how am I going to do that? This is eternal love, reincarnation, passion, twin seeking union. So maybe he's finally ready or she's finally ready for you to reach out. And it is Venus retrograde. So that is the time where we end up having relationships from our past knocking on the door. So maybe it is time to reach out to your twin flame. If that's not possible, then try to communicate with them on the 5D. You guys know how that works. Okay. And an area where you need to be more flexible. This is something that you've been too harsh with, and you need to be more flexible in this area. And for you guys, we have focus. Okay, so maybe you've been hyper focused on something, and to me this is looks like a mountain, and sometimes we're only focused on reaching the summit and reaching the peak of that mountain, but we need to be focused on the journey. And I know that sounds cliche, but it is true. It's all about the day-to-day, not always just where exactly we're going. I find this all the time with people that come to me for readings. Of course, they always want to know what's going to happen with us. They always want to know the end game. And it's like, life is lived in between that. The gray area is where the good stuff is, you guys. So don't always just focus here. So the area that you need to be more flexible in is your area of focus. Make sure you're looking at the big picture. Take a step back. Make sure that you're seeing things from this angle and not this angle, okay? And then now we are at general guidance for you guys. So for the Lenormand, we have the clock tower. The clock tower is something business related. It could be universities, it could be school, work, but it's like a big, it's like a big important, what is the word I'm looking for? Bureaucracy, like a place of official business. Maybe some of you guys are going to court this month, and you know, for some of you guys where the addiction or that type of stuff with the Seven of Swords is a bigger deal. Maybe you guys have some important date with that coming up. Don't worry about it. Stay focused on the recovery, right? And then the oracle we have from the Sacred Rebel for your general energy for Gemini is conscious connections. Conscious connections, okay? That definitely takes me back to the twin flame energy, which we just talked about, which is the 5D communication. That's what it is conscious connection, connecting to your twin flame consciously. Now, yeah, sure, go ahead and try to reach out to them on the 3D or the physical world. But if that doesn't end up being successful, sorry, there's like something in my eye that was driving me nuts. If that doesn't end up being successful for you, don't hesitate to try to reach out on the conscious or the 5D. Also, I can tell these women are different, but it's still making me feel like there could be sisters, like twins, but maybe like paternal twins and not identical twins. Which again, Gemini is the sign of the twin. So I don't know. I can't figure out why I think that is important, but it just got my attention. But the other thing that this makes me feel is like just being in your divine feminine, being very vulnerable. And the black and white of this card makes it feel like, yeah, you guys have really been struggling. You guys have really been fighting. But look, this umbrella is finally starting to come back into color. The color is finally starting to come back to the picture. The happiness is starting to come in. Focus on the journey, not just the end game. Things are going to be getting better for you guys, okay? We definitely know that you guys are coming into your power. You guys have much more control over this situation than you're giving yourself credit for. And there should be some good news coming in about a job or money or house or something in that physical realm. So for those of you guys who had picked Mr. Skull, this was your reading. I hope it helped. Comment down below if this was you, and we will see you guys again real soon, okay? Okay. So let's check the time. 27:30. So 27:30, and now we are group number 3, which is the amethyst. Beautiful amethyst. Okay. So like I did before, I'm just going to clear the energy really quickly just so I can make sure that all of number 1 and 2 are gone. Get their energy out of here. Feels so good. I love a cleansing breath, you guys. Group number 3, this reading's for you. If you listen to the beginning, you know that we have a certain specific set of questions we're going to go through, starting with number 1, which is in the sign of Gemini. What area could you be focusing on to gain knowledge? Okay. And we have 51, which is moonlight. Moon is just one of those things that has so many different nuances. It's intuition, it's femininity. It's also, you know, the moon is what illuminates the darkness. So is there something that has been hidden that needs to be revealed? You know, do you need to be trusting your intuition more, trusting yourself and coming into your femininity? And this doesn't just mean for you guys that are watching that are girls. All of us have both feminine and masculine energy within us. So this is asking us to step into our femininity. So this is the area to focus on. It's also making me think for some of you guys, maybe working on like moon cycles. So with manifestations and different stuff like that, like it's fine. You can do it anytime. But if you really, really learn about the moon cycles, for instance, one thing that kind of irks me a little bit, and I was totally like one that fell for it too. You know, we're kind of told like the standard is full moon. We really work on healing and releasing, and then the new moon manifestation. But technically, like the day of the new moon is really, it's the dark moon. It's a void, right? There's no moon. So technically the day of the new moon and the day before the new moon is actually the perfect time for release and healing, because that's when you want to make something smaller. The smaller the moon is, that's when you want to work on what you want to let go, versus when the moon starts growing. So the day after, and then 2 weeks after the new moon, the moon's getting bigger. That's when we go into waxing moon. So the moon gets bigger. That's when you really technically would want to work on what you want to grow, as the moon's getting bigger. But just a tangent I have right now. But anyway, this card would make me think, learning the moon cycles, trusting your intuition. If something has been trying to nudge you, that like there's something that needs your attention, listen to that voice that's trying to nudge you. Okay. Number 2, communication coming into you during the sign of Gemini, the Chariot. So that would make me think that it's something that would be happening rather quickly, because the Chariot is all about movement and action. This isn't the traditional, image you would see. Traditionally, you would see the Chariot with the white and the black horses, and that is something that typically represents a choice to be made, a decision to be made. So this card is about making a choice and taking action. So if we tie that into communication coming in, you're going to be receiving some kind of communication about choice, like maybe 2 job offers, maybe multiple apartments or houses that you're looking at are going to approve your application, and you're going to be moving, because the Chariot is about movement. So comment down below which one of these Chariot energies is applicable for you. But overall, it's just a great card of movement, moving. Maybe you're moving into a different role at work, and you're going to hear communication about that. But overall, it's a really good energy. Okay. Number 3, where are you being inconsistent? So what area of your life is wanting your attention to be focused, to be more consistent? The moon. This is your second moon card, you guys. Okay, so let's talk about the moon. It's Scorpio, Cancer. So maybe you have somebody in your life who is a Scorpio or a Cancer, who's ruled by the moon, who is requiring your attention. Maybe it's a timing of that. But again, I feel like your intuition has been trying to nudge and get to say, whatever you think this is, you're right. Do further investigation to try to bring light to that situation. Okay. But you're being inconsistent, because it's saying that we need to be consistent with this. That also means bringing consistency, again, like we talked about with this moon, to learning about the moon cycles. So have you been working on manifesting or working on healing with the full moon and the new moon, but you've been slacking lately, and you need to be more consistent with that? And the new moon, you guys, sorry, my dogs are being naughty. The new moon is this Friday. So this is saying get with it and be more consistent. If for some reason you don't happen to see this before the new moon, well, then make sure that have your shit together by the full moon, which will be June 5th. Friday, June 5th. But the moon is a heavy influence for those of you guys who picked number 3, the amethyst. Okay. And let's think about the crystal amethyst. Anyway, it's a crown chakra energy, which is connection to spirit, trusting spirit, asking spirit for guidance. Ask them to help guide you to whatever this is that the moon is trying to say to you. Area of increased communication. So the area that you need to be communicating about. Memories. Excuse me. Memories. Nostalgia. Sorry for those of you guys who have misophonia, which I do. That would have just drove me nuts. I don't want to hear anybody swallow, but I've been doing readings all day and I really needed to drink. Okay, so what are we asking again? An area that you need to be communicating about is memories, nostalgia, repetition, attachment, reliving the past. So maybe you're over talking about something from the past and you need to let it go. Or maybe there's something in the past where the question is an area that you need to communicate. Maybe there is something in the past that you have been suppressing, that you have been putting over here in a box and pretending like it doesn't exist. And this is saying it's time to communicate about it. It's time to talk about it. Do you have a story? Do you have a message that needs to be shared? It's time to open up the throat chakra and share your voice and share your story. And I know that it might be hard to go back and relive these memories. Because for most of you, it doesn't feel nostalgic. It doesn't feel fun. It doesn't feel like reminiscing. It feels like, oh, F that. I don't want to think about that. I want to pretend like that never happened. I want to compartmentalize and put that here and move on. But sometimes we need to dredge that up to heal from it. Okay. So that is the area that needs to be communicated in this sign of Gemini. Okay. Then we have an area that is asking you for you to be more flexible. Okay. And we have the summer card. So maybe you had some really big plans or goals and you were set on that happening this summer. But guess what? If there's anything that we've learned through the quarantine and this whole COVID-19 bullshit, it's that you better be flexible, and whatever you think you have planned, you're just going to have to go with the flow. You need to be flexible about your timeline. Whatever it is that you had big plans for this summer, they might have to be adjusted